Assalamu alaikum and hello everyone and good morning to a new lesson of phonetics. Today also we're going to explore another aspect of English speech, which is widely used and practiced by native speakers. I mean here, intonation. Of course, all of you have heard about this term, which is intonation. So intonation is an important feature of speech in English. Good. Now, what do we mean by intonation here? What does this term refer to? When we speak about intonation, we speak about those variations in the pitch of the voice in connected speech. We have kind of variations, mainly rising and falling. Right, variations. These are rising usually and falling pitch, right? And these variations, which are rising and falling, they produce intonation. Or simply we can say intonation is the way the voice rises and falls when speaking. Right, so when the English speak, you hear them sometimes raising their voice in some situations, alright, or utterances, and falling it in other times. So these rising and falling levels of voice, right, are called intonation, belong to intonation. Good. Now, how is intonation important? In fact, it's very important. That's why it is widely used, right, by native speakers. Mainly because it influences the meaning of our utterances, the meaning of our speech, clear, of our speech. So, in some situations we use rising intonation, rising pitch or voice, others falling. Now, this rising or falling, right, intonation is not random, but it indicates a particular meaning, which is different, right, from every other situation. Because whenever we change intonation, we have different meaning at the level of utterances and also at the level of sentences sentences, the whole speech. Clear? Good. Now, we have two basic patterns of intonation, as we have learned now. We have falling intonation and rising intonation. These are the major patterns and levels, we can say, within intonation. For intonation, of course, here, the pitch in full intonation falls, right, pitch of the voice here, it falls usually at the end of a sentence. And we indicate full intonation by a downward arrow. We put downward arrow as a mark to represent this foreign intonation. Clear? Now within this foreign intonation also, we have within it two other types, if you can say, or sub-variations. It can be this falling high fall or low fall. High fall or low fall. Right, so foreign intonation, right, usually represents that pitch of voice which falls at the end of a sentence, and it can be a high fall or low fall. For rising intonation, also it is when the pitch of the voice rises, usually at the end of a sentence, and we indicate rising intonation by putting an upward arrow to represent as a mark this rising intonation. Rising also includes high rise and low rise. Clear? High rise and low rise. Besides to the other variations which may occur, I mean a combination of the two basic patterns, like what we have in falling rising and also rising falling intonation. Clear? But the basic patterns are always falling right intonation and rising intonation as the major patterns. Okay, major patterns which are practiced by native speakers and which influence mainly our speech. Clear? And its meaning. Good. Now, intonation influences speech and meaning. Clear? But also it is influenced, right, by certain components. Or it is based on three major key components, which are first, pitch. The pitch in speech. What's pitch? Pitch is the rise and fall of our voice when we speak. It's also called highness or lowness of voice or tone. Second also component of intonation is sentence stress. Sentence stress also, we will focus mainly on the content words, right, and the equal spacing between them. They contribute to create also intonation, right, intonation, and affect its variation too. Third key component of intonation is what we call rhythm. It is rhythm, right, rhythm with its beats, right, which occur, right, also constitute and construct our intonation in our speech. Right. When we have rising and falling, also the rhythm moves and also influences the type of intonation or variation. Good. Now, intonation also have certain important functions, right, with regard to our speech. Clear? We said mainly it affects the meaning of our utterances, but now we'll try to see the different functions in details of intonation. The first function is called attitudinal. Attitudinal function. It is taken from attitude. Clear? So here it means that intonation expresses our attitudes and emotions. Right, and emotions. Through it, right, we can show, right, and understand also that emotion or attitude of shock, of surprise, pleasure, anger, interest, boredom, clear, seriousness, sarcasm, reproach, satisfaction, and so on. So through the different variations we have in intonation, we can express, right, certain attitudes and emotions, and also listener can understand them through, right, knowing the use of each variation within intonation. Go. Second function also of intonation is called grammatical function. What does it mean? Here, intonation it's used to mark the beginning and end of grammatical units. It helps us, right, find the beginning and or mark also end of grammatical units like clauses, like sentences, and so on. Clear? And also it helps us distinguish types of sentences and utterances. For example, in statements we use and we have foil intonation. WH questions we use and we have foil intonation usually. Clear? In yes/no questions we have and we use usually rising intonation. So when we know that this variation rising is used in that type of grammatical units, right, and that type is, for example, the rising or falling, the other type of grammatical units, here instead that here we can distinguish, right, between them, these yes/no questions, the WH questions, thanks to the variation of intonation. Yes, now it's rising, WH questions, it's falling. So here we have difference thanks to intonation. Third also function is called accentual function. Accentual function, accent we mean here stress. So here it helps us determine the placement of stress. Intonation sometimes also helps us determine the placement of stress, especially with the rising intonation. Right. Good. Also, we have fourth function, which is focusing. Focusing function. So here, intonation shows what information in our utterances or non-utterance is new and which one is already now. Through it, can distinguish between what is new to us, we need to know, and what is already now, which needs only confirmation, for example, only confirmation, like in the case of the questions. Clear? So here, we use particular type or variation of intonation. Clear? To show that it is new or that we know it already, but we need only confirmation. Clear? Good. Also, another function which is very important, it's called discursive, from discourse, function. So here, intonation signals how sequences of clauses and sentences go together in spoken discourse. Clear? Spoken discourse. It enables here intonation us to, if we can say, signal whether we have come to an end of the point we are making, we're about to finish this point, clear, or whether we are, I don't know, we want to keep talking, all right? We want to continue talking, so here rising and falling play very important role to show, okay, the discourse and its direction. We are at the end, or we want to continue speaking, all right? Or, example, maybe sometimes when we are ready to give a speaker a turn to speak. So here also particular variation of intonation, rising or falling, as we will see in the next lesson, clear, will indicate the direction of our and indication of our discourse in our speech. Clear? Good. Another also function which is psychological function. Here intonation helps us organize our speech into units. And this of course helps us to easily perceive, memorize and perform our utterances. Clear? Our utterances. For example, rising with this always, falling with this type of utterances. So here also it helps us memorize the aspects of speech. Good. Last function is called indexical. Indexical function. Here it's kind of, if you can say, referring to a particular, I don't know, class or personality with the use of a particular variation within intonation. So here we can say that intonation may act as marker, yes, as a marker of personal or even social identity, because each situation and each social group may have a particular characteristic of intonation. For example, certain social groups may focus and usually use rising intonation, right, in certain situations. Other groups, for example, may use falling intonation in other type of situations. So here, it acts as a marker of personality and social identity. Clear? So, this is simply a brief introduction about intonation, the rising or falling pitch in our voice when we speak, right? And its different key components, patterns, and functions. So, we see inshallah in our next lesson, second part, which will speak about the patterns of intonation in details, with the different situations and what they require, right, as patterns. Thank you so much.
You need to apologize to your brother.
I'm sorry?
Yes, like that, but nicer and that way.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.